And we have just experienced our first network outage, which caused the stream to break. We're getting all the checkboxes marked today, aren't we? Wonder how this will look on the recording, but oh well. Still no biggie. I did continue to paint a little bit. Nothing that you wouldn't see 3 more times, so I don't think that it's too much of a mess for anyone. Basically, we are almost done with highlighting the blue. And in preparation then for the shading. The last touch will just be to add some Screaming Skull to the mix. And we can finish off this color. Still pretty disappointed that it had to happen, but I suppose the internet cannot be trusted nowadays. And it did take me a while to notice too. So there probably would have been a good 5 minutes where I was rambling to myself like a lunatic before I noticed that the stream was actually cut off. And I tried to run some diagnostics, but as usual it's just the network provider who has made a bobo. Thankfully, they managed to resolve it in, like, what, less than half an hour, which is pretty good. Considering how late it is. Having someone on standby. Is a pretty good turnaround. Yeah, so I went over with pure Caligar blue. Yeah. And shit ton of medium for the second layer of highlight. And now I'm just going to do a couple of touches of this type of blue with some Screaming Skull just on the bracers and the ponytail. Maybe just on the center of the belt, as it would appear to be catching more light. But I wouldn't go anywhere below, so the knees will just stay highlighted as they are. And then we are going to repeat the same process as we did for the flesh. We're going to take the shade, which in this case will be Drakenhof Nightshade, and I will pin wash and blend a little bit of the shadows here and there. Most importantly, I will try to delineate the colors that are standing next to the blue, so there will be a bit of panel lining next to the metallics, and yeah, actually next to the metallics is all there will be. And a little bit below here, just to emphasize a bit of shadow in addition to what we already have. It should be fine. Blue is a very good color to work with. It has decent pigmentation in general, and it's not too hard to play around with highlights and shadows on it. And with the bomb wick, I'm confident that I will have better control. Over the pin shading and the panel lining. Well, I call it panel lining, although there aren't exactly panels, but you get my drift. Face cam seems to be darker for some reason. I don't know. I used the same settings as I did previously, maybe it's just my imagination. By the way, I did make a few changes to the setup. You're probably not noticing them since they are more for my comfort. But I put a new mat to paint on, with the idea being that a brighter background color would help the exposition issue, the exposure issue that I was experiencing with the camera. Unfortunately, it did not. Well, it worked the way I anticipated it would, meaning that it darkened everything down. But even in automatic exposure below a certain threshold, it starts giving out lines and flickering on the screen, which is something I would very much like to avoid. Would have been good, because every time I would use a primed miniature, it would be pretty bright. So if you recall, these guys were white, next guys will probably be gray again. Just to help out the camera a little bit, not to go completely insane with trying to balance out black with white or something along those lines. So I had to put on another black cloth here to restore the contrast. Otherwise, the exposure just goes bonkers. Maybe a more neutral color, so not too bright. Maybe a green or a brown would help to some extent. Truth of the matter is, the second I go below -5, I think, it just starts flickering. So I might as well just keep it as is. Right then, Screaming Skull goes into the mix. And it just needs a small touch of it. Like, I don't want to go over bright, I don't want to lose the blue. You probably all already know this, but whenever working out a lighter tone, using a off-white tends to work better than pure white in terms of retaining the overall intensity of the color. Yeah, see, that's way too bright. I overdid it, even though I used just a little bit of the blue of the Screaming Skull. It's probably gonna take all of the remaining blue I have on the palette to bring it down. It didn't really bring it down. Lovely. Still, not much of a problem. We'll just use a healthy helping of medium. And we're gonna go in with a not too loaded brush. Just slightly dabbed into the mix. So we don't oversaturate and create too bright contrast. Let's just see. Yeah, it's fine. Maybe just a bit more medium. Oh well. So, we haven't experienced any disruptions on this channel, so this is a first. Which I guess just couldn't be avoided. Okay, this is good. It's looking decent-ish. Maybe a bit too bright, but hopefully the varnish will bring it down a notch or two. Sorry. Okay, and then we're just gonna go over the back of the belt, right on the center, where light will most catch. Going nice and thinned out. It's easier to reinforce it than to bring it down. Yeah, I think that's enough. Maybe just the tiniest bit more on the brace. Because it is one of the most upward facing details. And it'd be nice to have just a bit more light catching on it. That'll probably do it. Not too extreme, but it's visible enough from a distance, and we will enforce the contrast with the shade. Again, not perfect, but for our purposes and intents, it is good enough. Hopefully the recordings will be intact. I will upload them simultaneously. We'll see, we'll see. Good, so I probably won't need the blue anymore. May as well just put it away. And onto the shade. Again, just to say, this is Drakenhof Nightshade. I am going to put on the palette because I will be thinning it down, and I would prefer to have it that way as opposed to keeping the bottle open and risking spilling it. Sorry. And we will start from the bottom, so we will enforce the crevices here. These weird Nordic faces sculpted on the greaves. I always start with them because they are apparently the darkest recesses. And I can afford to just douse them in wash. Yeah, that'll do. Again, since we are dealing with the bottom part of the model, we want to enforce some delineation here. Type of panel lining. So just tracing over the contact surface between the blue and the metallic, as this will help the detail pop. Also, it'll help hide some imperfections that the initial coloring in might have missed. I'm going to put just a little bit here on the behind of the greaves towards the knee. We went a bit too thick here. But it's probably fine. Okay, just tracing over. Hands are a bit too shaky. for this kind of detail working today. But we'll handle it just right. Well, enough, so to speak. Again, behind the knee. And here there are some details that we want to make pop, even from a distance. And using the opportunity to clean up some of the overbrush that I may have caused with my sloppiness. Like over here, there was a bit of the silver going into the blue, and we're just covering that up with the shade. That's decent. Now we're moving on to the belt. This will be a bit annoying, as the details are small. I don't want to overdo it, which I did. Hopefully we can just clean it up. Close enough. And now on to the rivets of the belt. The thinner the line that you can trace, the better. It's not going to look as good from a distance if you keep it close to the detail and keep the line thin, but it will give a bit of a boost from a distance and a lot of boost from if you pick up the model to inspect it from a close distance. The way I usually try to maintain a sort of good line is that I actually press the brush towards the other detail, in this case the rivets, as even if the wash catches on the other color, I will be highlighting it and it'll actually help me afterwards, because it'll give a even bigger contrast. Okay, here we went a bit overboard, unfortunately, but this is just part of the process. Still, you may notice how it starts to pop. It's much more noticeable, even without additional highlighting on the metallics. They already stand out more from the blue. Yep. Good. And while we are still working with rather concentrated wash, we will trace over the bracers. And being careful not to go with lines that are too thick. Here on the underside, it's far not necessary, but it's pretty easy, so why not? Why not be consistent all the way through? Good. And now the other part here. Underside. And now for the gray metallic as well. Can't quite estimate whether or not this is faster as opposed to covering the entirety of the surface and then cutting out of it with highlights. I would say that it's a bit faster and a bit more controlled. Here. So we have nice delineation so that from a distance it stands out. I think that's all for this bracer. So we'll just be moving on to the other one. Again, I wish my hands weren't as shaky today. This part, but I will manage. It would appear I need some more wash. You can go as dark as you like on the panel lining as long as it's thin. A good idea to use instead of these washes for this purpose is inks, but since I haven't added these paints to my collection, I'm using just this. I think you can further enforce it if you'd like to with some black. You may even build a blackish wash from a Baden Black and a healthy helping of medium. Can't seem to get this to stick, so I will probably end up making it way too wide, but oh well. So this is a small trick, but it does have a good impact at the end of the day, which is why I like to employ it. As it just helps things along. Gives it that little bit of additional pop. Emphasizing on the highlights. I think you can see here how we immediately just get a harder, stronger contrast without actually compromising anything that we've built towards. Since it is a underline that you can't really do much else with. Yep. Like those little crystal things will receive the same treatment. And not too worried about the metallic getting stained, as I will be highlighting it as the next step. And there we go here. As you can see, as it dries out, the contrast lowers down a little bit because it becomes more transparent, and this is why an ink would do a better work. Or maybe just mixing in some black into it. Which I may try on future projects. Or maybe you put one of these layers like I am doing now, and then you go for a second one with black in it. I don't know, but still the effect remains. And it is satisfactory, let's say. Yep. So now after I wash my paint stained brush and wipe off the dried paint, I will give it a good thinning. And we will enforce some of the shadows, such as here. As this is in fact our mid-tone, I would just like to darken it up a little bit, leaving a portion of the mid-tone to show and covering up the rest with the wash. As we would do with a regular paint. Doing the same on this side. Again, don't need to go from that side, but it's there, it's easy to fix, to apply, so why bother not applying it, am I right? Here on the bottom of the ponytail, and as it dries out, we see that here we can apply a little bit more. leaving even more of the original color. Shoot through. It's not really catching as well as I want it to. But I'll use this thinned out solution because it's better than to just apply a thick wash. I can afford to have a couple goes here and there. Still doesn't. I want to have a good change of hue right here. And that's the blue then. Yep. That is the blue done. And I think I will give the gray a go. It's just the cloth. It shouldn't be too hard to deal with. Yeah, it still didn't get as dark as I wanted, but it works. I should try and figure out a better way to create a gradient here. That part should have been darker. But oh well. Should I bother with the straps? I think I should. That'll be next time along, just before I get to the metallics. Today I will give it a go for the gray. And then we will be calling it quits. How much texture are we talking about here? Oh, not too much at all. Yeah, so that'll do. Should be done quick and easy. First, I will have a go with the original tone, as we have already washed this entire surface. Since I want a smoother transition into light rather than into dark. And then a mix of the two grays. So base gray I used is Ashen Gray, which is actually a layer paint. And Dawnstone will be used as the highest highlight. Unless I want to go really obvious and mix in a bit of Screaming Skull into the Dawnstone, but I don't think I will. At the very least, the sash is on the lower portion of the miniature. It's below the waist. And it shouldn't require to go to extreme highlights. I don't want it to become a focal point. Yeah, as usual, I forgot about the straps. And highlighting those will be a bit of a bitch. And I should be able to do more with the nails and the claws. But honestly, I don't think that I'll make them any better if I put any more effort into them. Should I wash this gradient here? No, I don't think so. I'll just leave it like that. Maybe I'll just put a drop of the super diluted wash. Just to smooth out the edge of the transition. Hopefully it won't be too visible. I will be entering these guys in the competition, in the painting competition. And I do want them to look nice. Like, I don't want to go back to them in a while and start saying that there are elements that just rub me the wrong way. Like, there are plenty of those with the elves. Like, the flesh tones are horrible because I wanted to pale them out, but I layered them instead of mixing the paints. And there are just some horrible pieces of brushwork there. But by the time, I don't know when it is that I'll be able to find some spare time to go back to them, I'll be honest. And I do apologize for my glistening forehead, but you have no idea how hot it is here. Yep. What else can I ramble about before we get into the painting part? I don't know, I've been taking things a bit easier lately. I'm not too focused, I'm just trying to do things leisurely. Not overcommitting to something. This needs to remain as something fun to do, which is why I want to give as much time for the painting as possible, just so that I don't have to rush myself. Probably won't have time for the markers and the Yeti and the rest. So the second runner and the second thrower. But I should get them done as well at some point, because I will probably use them in our next season of the Tabletop League. And I will be retiring the Dark Elves. Which reminds me that I must add some stuff to my roster. The time has come, finally, towards the end of the first half of the season, to buy the second Witch Elf. And I will be giving out a ton of inducements to my opponents. What you gonna do? I wanted a developed team, and this is what happens when you're playing against mostly fresh teams. I think that there is only one team that has transitioned from last season, which is a very murdery orc, which will probably be the end of the elf team either way. No matter what happens, I will be retiring them. I think playing 2 seasons, because it's a small league, so there are about 7 matches before playoffs. Per season. And so I think I think 2 seasons is enough development for such a team. And it's also a good reason to switch things up a bit. Now, we have had Norse before in our league. But I wasn't playing them. I'll go Norse for next time. While I am painting something else. What that will be remains to be seen. As I've mentioned previously, my Bretonians have been resting primed for now about a couple of years. But I'll probably not paint them, as we do have a oversaturation of Bretonians. So I may go dwarves or something. I don't know. We're having a chaos team this season, so going chaos shouldn't be a good idea either. We've had orcs. We've had most teams already played for the short while that the league has been running. This is season 4. And we do have Slan, we have Pro Elves, we have a couple of Skaven. We have had quite a few Skaven. One actually won the first season ever. I'll just look through the pile of unpainted miniatures and make my choice. I am wondering, so what would I most enjoy painting? I would like to paint the dwarves that I have, because they are the Gears of Dwarves Kickstarter. And there's some pretty interesting steampunky Iron Man armor wearing type dwarves, which looks kind of fun. Chaos would be fun to paint and build. Hey Tanif, how are you? Thank you for joining. Sorry if you weren't able to catch me earlier, but I had a internet issue. Oh, that's great. So I had to restart the stream in case you caught me in that moment. Oh, okay. Did you have some time to unpack the Warcry game? To take a look at the minis? I mean, if it's no bother. If you're tired, you can just stay along. I won't be too long myself. I just gonna cover up the gray and I'll be done. Oh, okay. Right, so this first layer was again just to block out a few things. Now we're going to add the Dawnstone into the mix. So we are going with the first actual highlight. Which is a bit brighter than I would have wanted it, but I hope there is enough medium to blend it in. Having the cloth as ruffled as it is actually helpful because it makes my job easier. Giving me a very good orientation of where my highlights need to go. If it was a flat surface, it would have been much harder to create a smooth transition of the colors. Not that this is particularly smooth, but still it's easier. Right, so we need a bit more medium. Hey, Big in Space, welcome back. Etanif is just about to unbox the Warcry board game and is going to send some pics of the miniatures. if you're interested. Meanwhile, yeah, I'm gonna be able to finish with what I set my mind to. So I'm done with the blue, and I'm just going over the gray cloth to give it a bit of a highlight, and I'll be done. Meanwhile, we did experience a network outage, so that's it. You probably won't be able to, because the stream got interrupted, because for some reason I stopped having access to the internet for a good 20 minutes. But that was resolved, and there will probably be 2 videos to upload. Still though, not a big problem, but a first for this for my stream. I'm going a bit too thick here. I shouldn't have done that. Still though, nothing that I won't be able, I won't have to do 3 more times. So not much of a mess there. And not too much of a harsh highlight here because it's in the shadows. But yeah, seeing how the Dawnstone looks on the overall paint, I don't think I'll need to go for further highlighting. Oh, okay, good. I unfortunately won't be able to stream it because it's gonna get a bit too late for me, and I'm a bit tired from today. Sorry about that. And I do have some chores to do around the house before I go to bed. Oh, there we go. Let's take a look at the pics. Nice. Nice. Big boxes are awesome. Gonna load up all of the pictures and then we will switch the scene so we can take a good look at them. There we go. Wow, it is a big box, not gonna lie. This looks quite daunting. Four layers of sprues, my god. Right, so this is one of the barbarian-ish shapes. Yeah, there they are. It's good that they don't have loadout options. Yeah. The reference is correct. Oh, so there's terrain as well. It's terrain, right? It's not basing. They're not basing materials. Awesome. Yeah. Nice, so the terrain is cool. There's a bridge-like thing, some fences. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. Minis look good, they don't appear to have alternate... Oh, okay, I see. They don't have alternate loadouts, so that means that I can just put them together, which is cool. And this beautiful, beautiful pile of plastic. Ah, shit. Okay, we'll keep that in mind. Wicked. Okay, cool. Thanks for the info, I will keep that in mind. Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. But you know, Oh wow. Well, so do I, and it's so far taking me about, what, few months? You know, I paint much slower than you, so you shouldn't have any issues there. Did you figure out? No, that's not true. You've had, at this point, you have much more experience than me. What did you choose for the cloth options for your undead? Did you reach a solution that you like? Xandri. Okay. Yeah, I know that you made a couple of alternatives. Oh my. And you still haven't made up your mind? Well, you can just have a few options. Like you can have some of the miniatures in gray, some of them in Xandri, just for some additional differences in case you can't make up your mind. Because the main color will be the metallic, the turquoise metallic. It'll be easy enough to keep it uniform. And the cloth and the rags can just be a bit of splice for different minis. Ah, yeah, you told me, yeah, that's gonna make things difficult. Alright, have a fun game, guys. Alright, I won't be staying up too long. I might switch into Cabal Vision then, but I won't be streaming it. Just to see how things are going. I want to smooth this out a bit. As it came off a bit on the harsh side. Here it's somewhat decent, but here it came out. Okay, well, good luck. I'm also feeling a bit sleepy, which is why I don't want to push myself for too long of a stream. And I did make mine as well. And I'll try to manage with it. Okay, so now just for a few... I'm gonna call them extreme highlights, although it's just gonna be a few shades lighter. Okay, well there is still a few days to go, so it shouldn't be a problem. Hopefully. That's way too much paint, but it's okay. Yeah, hopefully. Being the keyword here. Big in Space mentioned that if the rosters aren't submitted, they will be making substitutes for the people, and they will be some sucky ones. Probably with tons of pass block or something. Yes. Such as putting in a few splotches of the lightest gray here and there. I am stabbing it so I can add a little bit of texture. Stippling being the proper term. Because it should be a rag-like texture. And I think it's good. I won't be highlighting the front anymore because it's in deep shadow. So I think I will leave it at that. Maybe just a heavy amount of medium into the previous concoction and blend in some of the rougher looking spots here. Like at this point, this is just basically a wash, so I'm not afraid to go in heavy with it. Yeah, that'll do it. Have you bit my dragons? My brother tried to sell me to Khal Drogo. Look what happened. A bit hot-headed with that molten golden crown. I stopped the Khalasar, so don't be messing with me now. Look my lover in the eye, winter's coming. So am I. I burned the witch alive who took my son and husband's lives. But I survived so frisky, now these dragons have my back. Suitors are so frisky and they always try to mac. Zara, Zoe, and Daxos had to lock him in a vault. And right on time too. Wicked. Okay, so again, just summarize. The blue is ready, the gray is ready as well, and next time I will highlight the buckles, the leather straps, and I will go for the metallics, and that will hopefully be the end of this mini. Cool. So that'll be it for today, everyone. I'm going to jump into Cabal Vision off stream to watch Eats on It and Pig in Space play while having some form of dinner. See you there. Thank you all for joining. I appreciate it. And I'll try to do another stream tomorrow. If possible, we can arrange a game. If not, it'll be more painting. Yep. So, from me, I wish you all a very pleasant rest of your evening. And I will see you soon. Bye now.